Hey there, direct sellers. Welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. Now, today's a little bit of a fun one. I wanted to get in and do a back to school brainstorm. Now, what on earth does that have to do with social media? I hear you ask. Everything. And here is why. I thought this was really fitting because as Australia and New Zealand go back into school, and I'm sure most countries are at that same point. So if you're listening globally, hopefully this has still got some relevance to you right now. Everyone's had this big break off over Christmas and New Year's. We've all had a little bit of time. Our kids have been super duper duper out of routine. And this is about that time of year when everything starts to go back into some form of normality, whatever that's going to be for 2021. Let's hope that we don't get too much craziness this year. But regardless of all of that, what is happening right now is people are starting to get back into some form of routine. Now, for us, where we are at the moment, that's going to be happening next week. But I know some of you have already gone back. Some have still got a little bit of time. I want to talk about how this is going to affect your business at the moment. I've heard a lot of rumblings from people about how Facebook and Instagram, social media in general, is not performing in the same way in the last couple of months as it has in the past. Now, that's all very true. It's very relevant. And so, although I'm not going to dive too deeply into the changes of social media right now, what I want you to know is if you are seeing a little bit of a decrease in your interaction, in your reach on social media, it's not necessarily your fault. Although I don't want you to stop trying new things and obviously growing, adapting, learning, all of that is super duper important. Keep doing that. But there is a lot going on right now that is affecting your reach and your engagement on a whole level, a global level. Facebook, particularly over the period of Christmas months, remember that everybody is doing things very differently. They're behaving very differently, and social media adapts to that. The thing is that a lot of our businesses don't. We don't think to ourselves, okay, there's a lot going on right now. I'm going to change my strategy over this period. What we do is we stick with our same strategy and then wonder why everything else is changing. But remember that people have been, in a lot of cases, off work. Kids have been at home. Different times of the day have been seeing different peaks. A lot of people have been going away on holidays, which means that they're either on social media a lot or the reverse is happening. And there has been a lot going on with the US elections, etc., which is in turn affecting your reach and how much social media, particularly Facebook, is cracking down on the content that's getting out there. So again, I'm not going to go down that rabbit warren too much right now, but what I do want to do is draw you back to the fun element of how is what's going on right now a benefit or an opportunity for you in your business in direct selling on social media. So we're going to dive in today to a little bit of a back to school brainstorm, because I think for almost everybody listening to this podcast right now, there is some fun relevance to back to school. Now, you might be listening to this in 6 months' time, in a year's time, and go, well, it's not back to school right now. How is this relevant? This is going to hopefully open up your mind and your thinking to a bunch of different ideas that could be relevant right now when you're listening to this. So even if this seems like, hey, you know what, this is not current to my circumstance at the moment, I think you're going to find there's some bits and pieces you get out of this episode that will help you, whether you're listening in June or December, doesn't matter. So let's dive on in, and I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can benefit from what is going on in your season right now in the world around you and how you can take it and use it to your advantage. All right, let's dive in. Now, I want to remind you of something very, very important. Greg and I are going to be doing a little bit of work with this in the podcast coming up this year, and that is talking to you about the importance of understanding what makes your perfect customer tick. Now, if you haven't yet identified who your perfect customer is, you'll hear me harp on this an awful lot as you do any material with myself, with Greg, with both of us, because this becomes the heart of anything you do on social media or any marketing activity in your direct selling business. Now, understanding your customer isn't just about having some fictional imaginary avatar or made up person out there that we're going to be targeting. What this is about is understanding the heart of the people that are your perfect people, your tribe. Now, when we get to know what really matters to them, it makes it a lot easier for us to market or promote our business to them because we know what matters. We know what problems in life they want to solve, and we know what things they value and love and get excited by. So, what I want to really encourage you to think about in the time that you're in at the moment, let's just say you're listening at the beginning of the year and, back to school is kind of starting to happen. How does back to school affect your ideal customer? Now, it's going to be different for all of you, depending on whether you've got someone who's retired, whether you've got somebody who's a young mum, whether you've got somebody who's got kids in high school, whether you've got someone who's perhaps a teacher. And I know some of you guys know that your ideal customer is a teacher, and that's great. That's fantastic. So how does this season that you're in right now, whether it's back to school, whether it's something else, how does it affect your ideal customer? Not someone else in the businesses, not the company's ideal customer, yours, because yours is very different to anybody else's. Now, I want you to also then consider how you tap into their values or their problems. You don't necessarily need to solve their problems, but you do need to have some sort of an understanding around what they might be. Now, I'm sitting here in front of you guys today and I got bags under my eyes. I'm super tired. My head feels like it wants to explode from hay fever, sinuses, and all that sort of stuff that's going on. It's hot. Yeah, we're in Tasmania. It's 25 degrees. I'm hot, okay? But our kids are totally out of whack right now. They are so out of routine. Their moods are all over the show. We've got a preteen and a teenager and another one coming up through on the way here who's turning 12 on the weekend. So we're dealing with a lot of moods in our house right now. And when there's lack of routine, those moods go through the roof. So these are all things that are going on in my world. Now, anybody who is targeting me as their ideal customer would benefit from knowing all of that because it might make you think twice about the sorts of things you put out on social media. For example, right now, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for easy shortcuts to make life easier, right? Now, I'm sure that's lots of mums out there. They want to get their kids back to school. They want to feel like they're being a good mum without it having to be, spending all of this crazy time on creatively covering books and sewing up uniforms. We want to do it the easiest, best, most loving way possible without doing our heads in, right? If your ideal customer is a working mum out there, you know that these things really matter to them right now. You may, however, have a target customer at the moment who is a young mum and I remember these days, who's got their first child about to go to school and they are like the super mum. They're doing everything. They're hand sewing the pencil cases. They've, scratched off the wood on all of the pencils and they've creatively written the names on the end of all of those pencils. They've pre-planned out their child's hairdo for day one. They've got the camera on the ready, everything, every detail is planned out. The bag's already packed. The lunch is already scheduled. You know exactly what very special looking lunchbox they're going to create on day one. Here's me going, oh, bugger, I forgot to pick up the school books today. We'll get to that, the day before school starts. So knowing what's going on for your ideal customer, I'm hoping that this is kind of laying out a bit of foundation here. It really, really matters because these different people, they may all seem on the outside to be going through the same thing in life right now, but they're not. They're all experiencing the same thing in a very different way. And you having a bit of knowledge or understanding around that is massively going to help your social media content. Not only that, it's also going to help you think about what and when you're posting things. So here are a few things that I want you to consider now as we go into this period of time. Number one, if your target customer is a parent of any description, but specifically a mum, which I know for lots of you they are, remember that their routine is about to change. For a lot of them, they're about to get a lot of their own time back. Now, this is going to mean a lot for you when it comes to opportunities and the way that you can promote things on social media. So let's have a little bit of a think right now about some ideas. And I've done a little brainstorm. I'd love you to brainstorm along with me. Get your pen and paper out. Start thinking up some ideas. But here are some things that I came up with that I think no matter what direct selling, party plan, network marketing business you're in, you should be able to use one or two of these to your advantage to tap into that perfect customer of yours. So here's a few little ideas. The first is an obvious one, but let's get the obvious out of the way straight off the bat, is lunchbox tips. Now, you may be in a business where you think, well, that's not really relevant to what I do. If it's relevant to your customer and it helps you build a relationship with them, it is relevant for you. So you may, for example, you may do beauty products, you may do essential oils, you may even do clothing. Whatever that is for you, it doesn't matter. If your ideal customer is somebody who would love some really clever lunchbox hacks or tips right now, sharing a little bit about what you're doing in that space could be of huge benefit on social media. Tie it into you breaking down the barriers and make it about how you're building a relationship with them. Because your business is all about relationships, this is your opportunity to get right on in there. Now, remember, some of these ideas are not going to be relevant for you because they don't matter to you, or you don't know much about them, or they don't matter to your ideal customer. But absolutely, if you can see a tie-in here, grab it and have a play with it. What could you do? What could you get a bit creative with? Maybe the lunchbox tips could simply be some shopping tips, some healthy lunchbox ideas that are currently available in the supermarket and don't require a whole lot of hand-making stuff. Do you know, when I see somebody putting something out there about lunchbox tips right now, I feel this little heavyweight that says to me, oh, this means you're going to have to cook a whole lot of stuff right now. Whereas if I know some ways I can get healthy, easy things into my kids' lunchboxes with minimal cooking and preparation, keeping in mind that my kids are busy kids. And so, the whole bento lunchbox thing just doesn't work for them. Everything gets piled into a box. And so, easy ways to give them healthy food that doesn't require tons of cooking or making it look perfect is actually a big win for me. But for you, you might have somebody who loves the whole, let's do the bento style lunchbox that looks perfect, has the perfectly little cut shaped sandwiches, all that sort of stuff. So whatever works for you, come up with some clever ideas. Supermarket shopping tips on how to create something with minimal cooking, whatever. Even lunchbox ideas, like styles of lunchboxes. Just get out there and get creative. So here are a few other things. Another one is staying sane. You may be able to provide some understanding or some tips or some value around staying sane through going back to school. So, opening up the conversation around what might be going on for a lot of people right now. Some of the things to expect if you're someone in the know around what to expect around moods about this time and how to make the transition back into school really seamless for people's kids, that could be of benefit to you. In my mind, I'm just remembering that a lot of your businesses at the moment are in the health industry. You guys have got a lot of kid-oriented products for a lot of you, but I know a lot of you guys are targeting towards mums. And so this is where my thinking is going here. Another one that just popped into my mind was tips around routine. So again, you could put some posts out there on social media providing some tips helping people with that process. And you could even not sneakily, that's the wrong word. You could cleverly incorporate your products or, what you do in there as well. Now, here's another one, pamper yourself tips. A lot of mums and dads, but parents are starting to get a little bit of their own personal time back as kids go back to school. So it's a good opportunity for you to speak a bit of self-love into a lot of people that have had very little time for themselves over the last few months. They've been through crazy Christmas, they've had kids at home, they've been coming up with constant activities to keep the kids occupied, pulling their hair out about this time of year. So thinking about how you can make people feel a little bit of love. Remember that people don't remember necessarily what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. So if they feel like you care, that's actually a really, really big win for you. And social media is a great way for you to get that message across as well. And sometimes letting people know how you're doing it for yourself is a great way of encouraging them to do it for themselves also. And it could be something as simple as giving them doing it along with them, a little homemade face mask and showing them how you made it out of pantry ingredients or a couple of drops of an essential oil or something like that, and doing it along with them. There are so many things you could do in this space. I'm not going to dive into the rabbit warren, but I'm sure you can come up with some clever ideas here if this one might be of relevance to you. Now, another one might be even money-saving ideas, and I'm going somewhere with this one. You can talk a little bit as well if it's relevant for you around discoveries you've made on, might be money-saving tips or money budgeting tips, ideas. even just simply opening up the conversation and talking to people about, some discoveries that you've made, things you might have implemented or done or tried this year that have worked really well for you. Here's where I'm going with this one. For a lot of you, you are in a position where you're wanting to build team. You're wanting to recruit, you're wanting to build your downline, and you're about to get a lot of parents who have got their kids going back to school, and suddenly they're going to have a little bit more time on their hands and maybe be thinking, right now, how do I start to take a bit of action this year and have some control over my own financial freedom? This is going to be an opportunity for you to start talking a little bit about how you've got financial freedom, perhaps how the business has helped you as a parent, as a mum, as a dad, to get a little bit of that freedom, when your kids go back to school. Speak to people in terms of words and phrases and things that they understand, because they might also be going through something similar to you. People resonate really well with you when they feel like you've got something in common. So the thing that doesn't come naturally to most of us is talking about ourselves and what's going on for us. But the thing is, it's very hard for your customers to connect with you if you don't do that. So a really good opportunity for you, if you are looking to recruit right now, is talk a little bit more about the experience that you maybe were having prior to coming into the business, whether it's by posts with just text, whether it's a live that you do, whether you even have, phone calls with people, or, you have one-on-one conversations. Take the time to maybe open up the dialogue around what you were experiencing, knowing that they might be experiencing something similar right now, and what being in the business has actually meant for you. Because now is going to be that time where mums might be starting to think, I got a bit more time on my plate. I want a bit more financial freedom. And remember that last year, a lot of people out there realized how volatile our world is. And maybe they're out of work right now. Maybe they're feeling a little bit like, I don't know if my job is secure. Maybe they don't have a job. Maybe they want to look for a job. But again, there's a lot going on out there for them. So being in the direct selling business, I think, has never before been as attractive as what I think it's going to be this year. Just a little heads up, I think this is going to be a massive year for recruitment, because people can see that they can take charge of their own lives, their own financial freedom, and by being in this industry. But even more importantly than that, people are super hungry for connection and community. What is this industry all about? Connection and community. You've got it right there ready to hand to them on a silver platter. So speaking in terms of, hey, who's looking for a new opportunity? Now's a great time to be putting that out there. So just don't be afraid to do it. Think about how you can do it in a friendly way that doesn't feel pushy. Even have your own little brainstorm about ways that you could do this. Ideas, come up with some clever ideas and have a bit of a play in this space. Now, another one that I love for social media content that I think is really good for right now are hacks. Now, by hacks, I mean clever ways, shortcut ways that you might have come up with. They don't even have to be your ideas. You can Google stuff, but clever kitchen hacks or clever back to school hacks, ways to make something that was seemingly complicated much simpler, ways to save people time, ways to save people their energy. I've seen so many clever things go around out there, and coming up with your own is a really great thing to do. You could research some and then put together your own little slideshow of hacks that you love, ideas. Using a program like Animoto or something like that, you can have a lot of fun in this space. So hacks is a really great one. It's always very popular on social media, and I highly encourage you to have a bit of a play with something that's relevant for you, something that's relevant for your ideal customer in that space. Now, also just consider at the moment the routine change that's about to happen and your posting times. Now, I know a lot of people didn't adapt their posting times over Christmas and New Year's, and I think that's a really missed opportunity. But just consider now, how are your ideal customers, your tribe, using social media at the moment? When are they likely to be using it? Is it very first thing in the morning when they get up? Is it straight after school drop off? Is it in the middle of the day? Are they working? Is it late at night? Keeping in mind that those things will have slightly adjusted and are about to slightly adjust again. People are not likely to be on holidays right now. They're all sort of coming back to get the kids back to school. Now, remember that this could be relevant any time of the year. Whatever is going on when you're listening to this podcast is going to have some relevance. So think about, is it daylight savings? Isn't it daylight savings? Is it holidays in the middle of the year? Is it leading up to Christmas? What is going on right now? And what time of the day? I'm not necessarily suggesting to look at Facebook and see what time of the day most of your fans and followers are on Facebook. That is relevant to a degree, but I want you to think deeper than that. What are they actually doing? Sometimes it's very similar to what you're doing. So, for example, if I go onto social media first thing in the morning when I have my morning coffee, I might be much more likely to read a blog or, really I'll be a lot more clear-headed and able to process a lot more stuff. Whereas if it's last thing at night, maybe 8 o'clock at night, I might be mindlessly scrolling through content, much more open to watching a video that just, winds me down and makes me laugh or that I find interesting, much less likely to pay attention to detail and really thoroughly read something. So just think about as well, what's going on for them? What are they likely to be doing at the moment? So it's a really good thing to consider right at this point in time, because only you will be able to get to know what matters to your ideal customer. Remember what I said before, yours is different to anyone else's. So you've got to keep that in mind. What else have I got on my trusty list here? Are there any of your products that hold great relevance right now? Now, this one is a bit of a no-brainer, but I think a lot of us don't stop and think about how things change and how our products may be able to serve those changes. So, for example, if you're in the health industry, is there something that is kid-friendly that could be lunchbox friendly? Is there a product that you have? For example, you may have candles or essential oils. Is there a fragrance or is there a recipe to tone down the mood or energize people at the moment? A great back to school recipe people could be diffusing in their diffuser. Is there a candle that's going to help mums chill out and relax at night, given all of the changes that are going on right now? If you are with Posty or a clothing company of any description, perhaps you could think about clothes that might be relevant at this point in time. Are there kids' clothes in your range or not? Jewelry, back to school jewelry, back to work. Well, could be back to school jewelry for girls, but back to work jewelry, work friendly items. Just have a little bit of a think about what could be relevant in your product range right now. And one of the things that really comes to mind for me at the moment is for those of you in the health and wellness space is that I know New Year's is the time that we all assume people want to do the whole get healthy, lose weight, do that whole New Year's resolution thing. I actually think that's totally, totally off. I think that might be the case if you are not a parent, for example. But as far as I'm concerned, the whole of school holidays becomes a bit of a write-off. You go away, you come home, you're still doing a lot of socializing and chilling out, even if you are back at work, because you've got kids that are off school. So dieting and taking care of your health, I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but it's really difficult to do that up until about now. And so now I think is a prime time for a lot of parents to get them to start thinking about if, they're anything like me and they feel like a Christmas pudding, then they're going to be thinking, right, now's the time that I want to get back into a health routine as well as school routine and work routine. It's kind of just the reset for the year. Something interesting is that January 19th is considered International Quitters Day. It's the day that we is recognized as the day that most people quit their New Year's resolution. So we're past that now. We're at the point where we can start seriously talking to people about getting back on track with their health. And let's face it, so many people need that. If it's not for the COVID kilos, it's the Christmas kilos. Everyone's feeling a bit at the moment and ready to get back on track with that. I think I speak for the masses when I speak about this. Now, again, you could be listening to this at any time of the year. What's relevant for you in the health and wellness space at the moment? What's going on for your ideal customer, your tribe? What's going on in the world around you at the moment? So have a little bit of a think about how you can utilize this time to benefit you and your business and to connect with your ideal customer. And remember, the more you connect with people through story, through experiences that you share, the more likely it is that they're going to resonate with you and reach out to you. So don't preach to people. Be very careful about that. Careful about actively broadcasting and telling. Use this as a great opportunity to be a little bit open and honest about what might be happening for you or has happened for you. Share a little bit of your story. Be very careful if you are in health and wellness to always be super compliant. Remember the TGA, Therapeutic Goods of Australia. So you got to make sure that you are not making any claims or anything like that. And if you're unsure, check with your company. They will guide you in this space. But great opportunity to share little stories and tidbits of information as well that help you connect and resonate with your ideal customer. So I just want to encourage you again to rethink about, how can you use this time that's going on right now as a way to build and grow your business? Start thinking about what's your strategy going to be for the coming year. I really want to encourage you to think strategy right now. I know a lot of us have been so busy with everything that's going on that, goal setting and strategy can sometimes go a little bit out the window. And before you know it, it's February and we haven't done it. Guys, there's no wrong time to strategize in your business. There's no wrong time to set goals and reset things. So I really encourage you, if you've got the time right now, just stop for a little moment and plan out the next 1 month, the next quarter, and then even go to the next 6 or 12 months and think about, what do I most want to achieve on social media this year? What activities am I going to do to help me get there? Break it down. And we're going to do a little strategy session in an upcoming podcast. We're going to work you through some key ways to build your strategy into your business. And if you are in our social media quick start, our online course for those that want to master social media for their direct selling business, we walk you through every step of the way how to strategize your social media to get amazing results in your business. So if you want to know a bit more about that, we'll pop a link in the show notes for you. But before I go, I also want to just draw your attention as well to a great resource that we love to use that might give you a little bit of inspiration in the space of planning and organizing your posts for the coming year. Now, I've talked about back to school, so I want to remind you to think about what's coming up. What's happening throughout the year that you can use in your business to your benefit? For example, Valentine's Day, Easter, school holidays. It could be, International Women's Day. So what I encourage you to do is check out daysoftheyear.com. Now, I love this website. I'll pop it again in the show notes so you can click on it, reference it. But daysoftheyear.com gives you a ton of fun days of the year. Basically, any day of the year, you can click on it and it will tell you all of the things going on that day. The only thing it won't have is things like Australian charitable days, but it will have a lot of international holidays, things like Mother's Day, Father's Day, all of that sort of stuff will be in there. But get in there and have a look. You'll have International Hug a Friend Day. You'll have Peach Day. You'll have Teddy Bear Picnic Day. So there's a load of stuff in there to have some fun with. Now, what I encourage you to do is grab your little calendar or your strategy document. If you've got a little document that you're filling in, again, everyone within our course has got some printable downloads and documents they can use to help with all of this. But just plonk in some things that you think could be relevant that you could use to grow your business. So, is it International Women's Day? Plonk it in and come up with some ideas around how you can use that for relevance within your business. And also consider, what's my ideal customer care about at that time? What's going to matter to them? So get in there and have a bit of a play, get creative. I hope that this has been a bit of a fun brainstorm session for you. I know I've thrown a ton of stuff out there, but I really want to encourage you to think about what's going on for your tribe right now. Whenever you happen to be listening to this, what's going on for them right now, and how do you use it in your social media strategy? So that's it from me today. I hope this has been a bit helpful for you. And a little bit of fun, a little bit of lighthearted thinking and strategizing. Would love to hear from you as well. If you've got any specific things you'd like to learn a little bit more about, we would love to hear your podcast suggestions. Flick an email through to us at grow@oxanomarketing.com.au. We would love to hear your podcast requests or suggestions. And of course, any feedback that you have. We're always willing and ready to adapt. And we want to make sure that we're always providing you with content that's a benefit to you and that you guys love and helps you grow your amazing direct selling businesses. So I'm going to leave it there today, guys. That's it from me. Have an amazing week. God bless, and we'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.